This shit was hilarious. I'll tell you about how I first heard about him and then what happened one night with him. I went from being really concerned about him to having him have me on the floor laughing my ass off. This was funny, and I would pay $50 if anybody could get a copy of this phone call. So seriously, check it out. Yeah, but we're gonna play a little bumper first. Do a little bumper from Willie Nelson. Yeah, you know, oh man, I'm remembering the scene in my mind right now. I can't wait to tell the story, just to get it off my chest, just to have it recorded. But I'll tell you my thoughts about that night, and I'll tell you my thoughts about him in general. You know, about the two Davids who I loved at one point, and Wilcock and Ike. So we're gonna start off with a little bit of a bumper music. We're gonna play a little bit of Willie Nelson here, like I said. And that's how it'll go. Here we go. Before we start talking about David, we're going to hear from Willie talking about staying all night and staying a little longer. And believe me, I'm not a big country dude at all. I'm not a big country fan like that. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. Here we go from Willie. I don't know. This was back before he had gray hair. So, oh, by the way, I was Willie Nelson's security escort for 24 hours one time in 1997. I was 22. I had heat stroke that day. I'll tell a little bit about the story when it's done. What's up, Dad?
Did you need anything? I'm going to...
Just a Coke. Yeah, Coke? One? All right.
What are you having for dinner?
I'll probably have, I don't know.
I'm going to have me tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, I'll help you with that. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that's my dad. That's Rockin' Larry Lockin' Sr. There was one before me. Hey. Yeah, so we're going to stay all night and stay a little bit longer. But here we go.
Washed out at the bottom of the hill. The big creek's up and the little creek's level. Plow my corn with a double shovel. Stay all night, stay a little longer. That's all night, that's a little longer. Pull off your coat, throw her in the corner. Don't see why you can't stay a little longer. Sitting in the window singing to my love. Slop bucket fell from the window above. Mule and the grasshopper eating ice cream. Mule got sick, so the lady on the beam. Stay all night, stay a little longer. That's all night, that's a little longer. Pull off your coat, throw it in the corner. Don't see why you can't stay a little longer. Sally, she lives away down on Shinbone Alley. The number on the gate, number on the door. The next house over is a grocery store. Stay all night, stay a little longer. That's all night, that's a little longer. Pull off your coat, throw it in the corner. Don't see why you can't stay a little longer.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about David Wilcock, man. I only played that song because somebody brought it to my attention the other day. Yeah, so that song's funny. I was going to school my last 2 years of high school, and I was managing at a McDonald's, and I worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 2, get home at 3, get an hour's sleep. I was using a lot of methamphetamine for 2 years, and one night we couldn't get the rock station on, the radio, right? We couldn't get the rock station on, so we were screwing around with it. And back then, it was before the internet, and so we found a country station, and that song came on, and we started all listening to it, and we're like, oh God, we've been up for 3 or 4 days going to school and working, and we, using meth, and we're like up all night, tweak a little bit longer, tweak all day, tweak a little bit longer. Yeah, that song's called "Up All Night" or "Stay All Night" by Willie Nelson. But Wilcock, listen, I heard him first when I was listening to Art Bell back in the day. Yeah, he would come on, he would call in as a kid. He was like a teenager, and he would call in, I think, probably at the time. So, he was cool. He'd call Art Bell, then he'd call Noory, and he got popular and wrote that book, and Anyway, I'm going to paint the scene for you. This was about 2014. My son had some friends staying over at the night. I think my daughter was staying the night somewhere else. And my two sons were there, and he had the guys from the football team over. And I was sitting there just watching out at the sky, looking at the sky, watching the, having contacts. It was, right around the time I was in my first couple of years having UFO contacts. And I had Coast to Coast AM on a Friday night on. Don't know why it was on in the background. George Noory had open lines going. And George Noory... So I'm sitting there, my son and his friends are out, doing their thing. And he had, like I said, he had the football team over. And I'm just sitting there by myself, kind of, having a soda, watching the stars, everything. And Coast is on in the background. And all of a sudden I hear George Noory go to his producer, Tom Danhauser. He said, "Hey, Tommy, is that David Wilcock on line 5? And here comes Tom back with, "Yeah, George, it's David Wilcock, and you better call, or you better take this call. He sounds really distraught." And so I'm like, what? So I started listening. I'm like, what the fuck? Why would David Wilcock be calling in on the regular line? And so George picks up the phone. "Hi, David, are you okay?" And David's like, "Oh my God." David Wilcock was fucking crying and freaking out. And he was like, "Oh my God, George, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. They're going to get me. They're going to kill me. George, really." And he started really crying and tripping hard. And I'm like, what in the hell? And George is all, Who, David? Who's going to get you? Who's after you? Who's going to get you?" And David Wilcox, I think David Wilcox, this is the one thing I don't remember exactly. That's why I'd pay good money. I'd pay $50 for a copy of this phone call, but Coast doesn't go back like that far on their timelines. And he's like, the cabal, the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. I mean, he went down the whole hit list, the whole hit parade, right? Probably even the Warren Commission and the Bilderberg Group and all that shit, right? He went, Wilcock went right down the list. The Bilderberg Group, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the entire hit parade, right? Of all the old good time, all the old goody people we love. Yeah, and so he was freaking out, crying, and George is like, "Well, gosh, David, what are you going to do? David, have you thought about calling the police?" And Wilcock's like, "Oh, no, George, I can't do that. I can't do that." "Well, David, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And David Wilcock is just fucking freaking out. All of a sudden, shit goes kind of silent for about 10 seconds. And on air, on radio, that's a long motherfucking time to go silent. Okay, and then all of a sudden, it comes back. And George Noory's like, "David, are you there? Are you there?" And David's like, and and about a second goes by, and Wilcock comes back on, and his voice, his demeanor is completely changed. It's completely done a 180, and he's like, "George, yes, they said they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me, but and this is on a Friday night late completely, believe me. It's midnight on the West Coast where I'm at, so it's probably about 3 on the East Coast." And David Wilcock was like, "But George, here's the deal. They're going to kill me, but if I can survive until Monday morning, not only will they not kill me, but they'll protect me at times." They said even once in a while. "They won't kill me if I can make it till Monday morning." I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's Saturday morning right now here on the West Coast, and so let me get this straight. If Wilcock can make it another 45 hours without them finding him and killing him, they're going to not only not mess with him ever again, but they will protect him. I'm like, gee, that'd be kind of a cool pseudo-death threat to have. Anyway, so Wilcock's like, "Yeah." And George Noory's like, "Well, do you got anywhere to go, David? I mean, surely you got friends and stuff. I mean, you can go anywhere, right? But just don't come to my home in St. Louis or Los Angeles." No, he didn't say that part. And Wilcock's like, yeah, George, they're gonna, yes, they said they're gonna kill me." And he's calm at this point, right? After being hysterical, he's calm at this point. "But yeah, if I can make it till Monday, they won't mess with me ever again, and sometimes they'll protect me." And I'm like, oh my God, I fell. I was sitting on the bed at that point, and I fell down. I had to start laughing on the floor. Yeah, and I even had to go to have my son come in to tell him about it. I'm like, oh my God, that is hilarious. But that's David Wilcock can work a crowd like that. Man, you say what you will about the guy, but he knows how to work it. He knows that shit changes by the week, and people don't even have a 1 week time span in their brain. They're not even capable of it anymore. The majority of fools, especially the ones that listen to him anymore. According to him, so I've heard him throughout the years. Okay, so I swear I've heard him say, I'm going to go back now. I'm going to go back almost 30 years now. I can't believe shit's time's going by so quick. So Bill Clinton was supposed to be part of the Galactic Federation at one time. Okay, then it was George W. Bush. And then it was John Kerry for a while. Then it was, Barack Obama was part of the Galactic Federation of Light. Okay, and then even Hillary was for a while. But then it was Trump. Then it was Hillary again. Then it was Trump again. Then it was Biden for a while. Harris has been on the Galactic Federation according to that. Then it was, Trump again. Trump's back with the Galactic Federation. So every fucking possible candidate and president since the 90s has been on the Galactic Federation according to Wilcock. He knows how to read what's going on in the paper. He knows how to read polls, and he knows how to play the public like a fiddle. Dude, and you know what? You can say about what you want about Wilcock or Alex Jones or any of these guys. I have my issues with them, or Ike, after they wrote their first couple books. Dude, they got paid. Hey, they got paid, man. Who cares what you think about them? They got paid. David Wilcock knows how to work. Dude, David Wilcock's the kind of guy you could get in an argument with. Man, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And he could flip it up. That motherfucker could change shit on a dime like that and start arguing your point of view and have you arguing his and him winning. Dude, Wilcock knows how to work it. And that night when he called into Coast to Coast, God, I'd pay anybody $50 out there if they can get a copy of that shit. Seriously, people. People, they love him and they're in love with him and all that, and that's wonderful. If you can get a copy of that phone call, though, where he called Coast to Coast that night, oh, it was brilliant. Oh, it was like I'm into theater like that too. You got to understand something. Man, I learned from Ric Flair, Muhammad Ali, and Roddy Piper how to talk on a microphone, and Wilcock is an expert at it. And if I could get a copy of that phone call he made that night to Coast when George Noory had open lines, and he was trying to tell him the cabal was after him to kill him, that was hilarious. And I loved his little, he flipped shit up on a dime from being hysterical to calm, and they're gonna kill him, but if he could make it till Monday morning, they would never mess with him again, and then they would also maybe protect him at times. It was brilliant. It was brilliant theater, and who cares if he's lying, telling the truth? None of that shit matters when anybody's lying to you or telling you the truth. It's just all theater. We're all in a big play here. Some people know how to do it better than others. I just can't do it. Look, I had an idea one time that was $1 million moneymaker. It would have beat Alex Jones at this point, but it would have took me 7 years of lying to people 5 days a week. I was going to be this guy, Rusty Swenson. A big right-wing conspiracy theorist, make Alex Jones look like he was telling children's stories. I had the whole look, the setup, the dialect, the studio behind me. Yeah, but it would have required me selling everything out. So I had that in 2017, that thought, and the plan, but I wasn't going to go through it. Now, I could fuck with people and do it for a weekend, and hey, but I couldn't sell myself out like that. I really couldn't. I just couldn't. It'd make me sick to do. I would have gave it a good go, but it's theater, okay? And Wilcock knows how to read the polls. He knows how to read everything. So if one president or presidential candidate happens to be up for that week, he knows that they're going to be part of the Galactic Federation of Light, and they can flip it on a dime the next week. It goes from Hillary to Trump to Biden to Harris to Bush to, the whole goddamn 9 yards to Clinton, everybody. They're all going to be part of it when they're, in the next week. I don't know, man. The next one. But, and he's a good author. He's a good talker, and hey, man, like I said, I'm going to let you go at this point, but it doesn't matter, man. He got paid. He got fucking paid, yo. Seriously. All right, I'm out. I just had to share that with Wilcock, and if anybody hears this, I will send you, seriously, I will get the money. I will pay somehow, some way. I will pay for that phone call if you have that. The problem is Coast to Coast AM. They only go back, you can join their listeners club for $10 a month. But dude, they only go back, it was 10 years. They only go back 5 years. That's it. So this phone call was sometime in early, god damn, it was sometime in 13. It was sometime in 13 or early 14. It might have been late 12. My son played 2 years with all those guys, so I'm not sure if it was in 12 or 13 or afterward. It was between 12 and 14, but I'll never forget that phone call when he called in like that. And Tom Downheiser, yeah. George Noory's producer. Yeah, George, you better take this call. And George, all bewildered. Is that David Wilcock on line 5? Yeah. Man, Wilcock was freaked out. He played a good job of acting like it. Even I got concerned and started listening, and I'm like, what the hell? The Cabal's trying to kill him. And then, oh yeah, and I'm just like weirded out too. And then, he was telling George how he was, yeah, they were going to kill him. And then when it went dead and he came back and his voice changed, then I started laughing my ass off. I knew that he was running a game, about it. Nobody threatens to kill you, and this is, but if you can make it 2 days without dying, we won't mess with you anymore, and we'll even protect you. Oh, it's beautiful. He's poetry in motion, man. He's a genius. And it's all about entertainment. It's not about being truthful or real, because there is no truth or real. Everything just is. So yeah, it's hilarious. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. I know Corey was channeling the Blue Avians. I had a chance to channel them too. In the beginning, I was offered it too, and it didn't. I didn't think it would be a good idea, but it worked for him. So, but yeah, Wilcock's great. He's good at discovering people and kind of pumping them up. He's good at that, and he's good at drawing a crowd, man. And I like listening to him too. I don't believe a motherfucking thing the guy says, but then again, I've been around the block, and I'm not some ghoul. Oh, that sounds so good. I resonate with that. I really resonate with that. Well, yeah, me too. I'd resonate with the money, homie. Yeah, and that's what it is. But yeah, I remember him clear back calling into Art Bell. Most people don't even know who Art Bell is anymore. Too stupid to study their history and know who came up before them and laid it down. Anyway, that's it. I'm out. Nobody gives a fuck. All right, peace.